Hey, I'm Kenneth Wajda. I'm a professional photographer here in Colorado. Welcome to another one of my photo chats. So, I was reading Johnny Martyr's blog, and he's got a good blog. I'll put a link to it. And he talks about his love for a Barnack Leica. And I kind of like them too. I like an M3. Sure, I like the big viewfinder, but there's something about the little gem that a Barnack is. This is an old 3F. And what I've done is I put a shutter release, cable release adapter. I put that on top of the shutter so that I can put this in my pocket and not accidentally fire the camera. And it's got a little 50 millimeter 3.5 collapsible, which is the standard lens for this. Oh, there goes the lens cap. And it's so simple and so small, and it's so pocketable. And the Leica M3 just really isn't. And the loading is a little bit more challenging with these because you do have to cut the leader. You do have to work without having the back open. But I find that of all the cameras you could buy, especially if you want to say, I want to be a Leica photographer, buy one of these. These you can get for $200 to $500, depending on the model, versus the M series, which is skyrocketed in price. You'll spend several thousands of dollars, but you can get one of these with a 50 millimeter 3.5 Elmar lens collapsible that's this small. You can get that for, I'm betting, under $500 if you keep an eye out and watch. And you're getting the glass. I've photographed with that 50 millimeter so many times, and the sharpness is just so incredible. For such a simple lens and such a small lens, it seems like, can it stand the test of modern lenses, and can it stand to the digitals? And it can. It's equal. It's great. It has a great look, and there's very few times when I can't get away with that 3.5 because I can always go to a slow shutter speed. I can always slow down, put the camera on something. Most of the time I'm shooting in places that are, relatively bright, indoor settings that have lamps and lights. Places that are outside are no problem at all for a 3.5 lens. And I'm fascinated by how small this can be. I don't always even take the leather case. I like the fact that without the case, let me get it off, it's even smaller and thinner. That really is tiny when it comes down to putting it in a front jeans pocket and not having it be anything that's too cumbersome. I like the feel of the leather, and maybe sometimes I'll just put that in the car, but if you have the leather case on it, it's obviously a little thicker. And I like it thin. I like it to be really sleek. And it's almost not much bigger than my phone. That's the beauty of Barnack. And certainly there is a place for the M's, the M3s, M6s. They're all great cameras. But they'll cost you a whole lot of money. And if you want to get into a Leica camera, you want to get into one that's pocketable, you want to get into one that's small, don't get the 50 millimeter Summicron. Get the 53.5 Elmar, the collapsible. It's tiny, it'll fit in your pocket, it'll go with you, and you'll have one of the best cameras ever made. All of the Life magazine photographers, all the famous photographers like Alfred Eisenstadt and Elliot Erwitt and Walker Evans, they all use that. They all just use this old Leica because this is what came out. This is made from like 1925, I think, until about 1954, 55 when they came out with the M series in 54. And they're really strong cameras. They're easily repairable. Plenty of places still will do CLAs and replace shutters. There's a local guy in my town at Key Camera you can go, and he actually, I said to him one time, for one, I said, the shutter needs to be replaced. He said, okay. I said, where do you get a shutter? He goes, I cut it out of cloth. It's a cloth shutter. I just make them. I have a template. Which is fascinating that that's how you make a shutter for a Leica. That's exactly what he did. So if you're looking for a deal, consider the Barnack. It's the 3F, the 3C. You don't necessarily need a flash setting on it, so the 3C might be your best bet. And see what you think. And remember, you can't overspend on Leica, it doesn't really cost you anything to own a Leica. It just ties up some money. Because any amount of money you spend, as long as you don't crazily overpay for it, you'll just get it all back someday. Those cameras are already 70, 80 years old. You'll get it all back. But you have to tie up some money to get into it. But it's a very affordable way to shoot black and white. I'm an HP5 guy. Shoot HP5, put it in a Barnack Leica. It's a perfect combination. All right, that's Ace Photography Talk. Hey, if you're enjoying these, hit the subscribe button. If you can support it, the Patreon. Thanks to all my supporters. I appreciate you. I'm not just saying that, I do. I'll be back next week. We'll talk more photography. As always, here's the good light.